Hi, and welcome to another edition of Round Robin. I am not Robin McCormick. I am Mike Holtzclaw. I'm filling in for Robin today. And with me from the Peninsula Pilots are two Henry Morgans. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing good. You are a little round, though.
That is true. I am Round Mike. I'm working on that.
Good.
But we are here today to talk about one of my very favorite topics in the world, and I know it's yours, baseball.
We've seen your writings over the years, and you are a very good writer of the game of baseball.
Thank you very much. And actually, the first time that I met you, you recall, that we had talked on the phone a few times, but the first time that we actually met, I was sitting with a friend at the Vanguard having lunch, and he and I talked about baseball for an hour, and
the whole time
this gentleman wanders over from another table and says, I want to join your conversation.
Yeah,
that's what baseball lovers do.
Yeah. We could hear over our shoulder that y'all were having a baseball conversation, and when he told me who it was, I was like, well, that's probably a good one. And then after that encounter, there's still some really good work that you did in your previous career that's accessible online.
Surfacing.
Pertinent to War Memorial Stadium and the Pilots. And Dad said it well. You're a very talented fellow. Anybody that wants to really understand that property out there and some of the spirit that it's built on should look for your work.
And you guys know this. I have a great love for War Memorial Stadium. We're celebrating an anniversary this year.
Yes, we are. 75 years.
75 years of War Memorial Stadium. And I love that ballpark.
I'm shocked by how many people come through there that are ushering out or in a little 12-year-old, 10-year-old kid, and they seemingly all say the same thing. You know, well, I remember when my dad used to bring me out here, and I was that age, and they've never forgotten it. So.
Well, there's so much emphasis, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but even in the minors, everybody wants a new ballpark, a modern ballpark with the amenities and the fancy stuff, and I understand that. But as someone who loves baseball and its history, I love these old ballparks that have stories to tell.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that. They'll probably kick me out of the game of baseball for saying this, but I resent the way Major League Baseball treats cities in that they stay for 3 years, and all of a sudden they need a new stadium to survive. And, I feel like it's threatening and distasteful. And we've suffered that at War Memorial over the years. I mean, going back to 1949, I guess,
Sure.
and now.
Well, so with that in mind, one of the things that I wanted to ask both of you guys, a lot of work has gone into War Memorial Stadium, a lot of renovation and fixing it up. When you're doing that, how do you try and balance? We want to make it nice. We want to give it modern touches. We want it to be a ballpark that people want to come to, but we don't want to change the fundamental nature of the old ballpark.
I like to think that we are reasonably good at listening to people, other people, you. There's people on city council that love the old ticket booths, and they think that that's iconic and part of our stadium. Where we've tried to make renovations, Hank's been pretty skillful in guiding us to try to keep the seating bowl and the things immediately around it intact, and so we've built new bullpens that are beyond the left field and right field lines. We've got a new building a couple of years ago that was started and completed actually a couple of years ago. It's a wonderful asset that the city provided for the facility. The city actually, several years ago, said, what do we need to do to make the War Memorial Stadium continue for the next 50 years? And Well, there's quite a bit of things that needed to be done, and they have addressed all of them. There was lead paint removal. There was structural examination of the steel. There was all sorts of underground work. Mike, the place is haunted because anytime you dig a hole out there, you're going to find something that you didn't think was there. Mm-hmm. I think the players of yesteryear must have had their after-game celebrations or miseries out on the field, bearing bats or bearing whatever. I don't know.
I think listening to people is huge, and then trying to call out what is signature, what gives you that feeling, and make sure we embrace those things. It's got a story to tell, and but we need to have it also be up to date. But modern new fans, people that are just now coming to the party, are comfortable and having fun too.
The press box. When we redid that, we tried to retain as much of the old press box as we could. And that's why, although it's a brand new, nice press box, it's not as big as we'd like for it to be or
Sure.
as easily accessible. But it's
Much better than the one you worked in.
Much better than the one that you worked in. And our friend Bob Moskowitz.
Oh, the best.
Yeah.
One quick story about the memorable nature of an old ballpark. Back in my reporting days, one of the many great players who passed through War Memorial Stadium was Julio Franco.
Yeah.
Played there as a very young man on a team that won the league championship.
18-year-old, wasn't it?
104 wins. I think they set a record
That's
for the
the
most.
one, right?
Yeah.
When I interviewed him, he was pushing 50. He still looked like he was carved out of granite. He was still very handsome. He was still a terrific hitter. But I approached him in the Harbor Park locker room. He was with the Atlanta Braves AAA. Mm-hmm. And he was unprepared. I approached him cold, and I said to him, I want to find out how good your memory is. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and he said, my memory is very good. He seemed very intrigued where I was going. And I said, I want you to tell me what you remember about War Memorial Stadium in Hampton, Virginia, mm-hmm. where you played with the Peninsula team back in like 82.
Yeah.
And he sat there.
It was 1980,
you could see he thought about it for a moment. And then he started describing the stadium. He said, there were no bleachers in the outfield. The seating went from first base to third base. The clubhouses were both located behind first base. Mm-hmm. So if you were the visiting team, you had to cut across the field to get to. Yeah. There was an old man with a bugle who sat behind home plate, and I was thinking, oh my Lord.
Was that two-play?
Two-play.
No, two-play was different, but I knew two-play too. This was an older gentleman. I don't remember his name, but he would play taps when an opposing pitcher went out.
I remember him.
But I thought about that, and I said, Julio Franco played literally in hundreds of ballparks. In addition to playing in every ballpark in the majors, he played in Mexico, he played in Korea, and I asked him about a little minor league ballpark he played in when he was 18, and he immediately called up the image in his head and began describing it.
Cool.
And if you have a cookie cutter stadium, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, true. I agree, and I'm very proud of it. You know, like you guys have already alluded to, it's a rite of passage for a lot of families that have been through this community.
Very much.
And it's a part of every good father-son, mother-son, father-daughter script from a Hampton native, I think, should have a chapter, you know, in War Memorial Stadium, and so it matters, you know, for a whole lot of reasons. And there's a couple that stand out to me while we're on the subject of the history, you know. And one of your articles with the Daily Press a number of years ago was regarding Satchel Paige's story, which is just phenomenal. So, I just to abbreviate for the sake of time, Satchel Paige's last professional baseball game, last time he got a paycheck to play baseball, was at War Memorial Stadium. So you're in hallowed ground. I mean, and those of you who don't know about Satch, it's worth your time to go do a little digging to see. He was a character. one of the greatest personalities that the game has seen, and one of the greatest players, and pitched well into his 50s. Nobody knew maybe his 60s, no one knew how old he was. It was kind of an ongoing joke about his birth certificate didn't exist. But his last time he got a professional pitch was at War Memorial Stadium, and there's a great backstory to how that ended up happening. And then Jackie Robinson's attachment to Branch Rickey at the very beginning of it all. And right during the same year that he was, Rookie of the Year and broke the color barrier and changed America, changed the world. He came and helped Branch Rickey finish selling the bonds to pay for the steel, to erect War Memorial Stadium in Hampton. And
yeah,
come on,
and that's nothing against new stadiums. New stadiums are I love any place you play baseball, right? But the old stadiums where you can point and say right there, home plate, Johnny Bench, when he was 18, played there.
Can I tell you a real quick, sweet Lou Piniella story? We were at the winter meetings in Nashville, Tennessee, and we were at the Grand Ole Opry Hotel, and huge convention center. I get up kind of early in the morning. I go down to get a cup of coffee. There's one coffee pot in the whole place. You're going to have a couple thousand people there in that day. One coffee pot. And there was somebody standing there. I went walking across the hall, and as I got closer, I said, "That's a big guy." And then I was like, that guy looks a whole lot like Lou Piniella. And I said, "That is Lou Piniella." So I poured my coffee, said, "Mr. Piniella, I want you to, not an autograph hound, but I want you to know we're still playing baseball where you started." And he said, "Where's that?" And he was a little gruff.
Sure.
I'm sure it was just an early morning thing. I said, "Well, War Memorial Stadium." He said, "Well, where's that?" I said, "It's in Hampton, Virginia." And he took a sip of his coffee and he said, "Place was old when I played there." And it was. I think it was about 20 years old. I think Lou was here in 63.
Yeah.
Yep.
If I am not mistaken, Barry Bonds played his first professional game at War Memorial Stadium.
If I'm not mistaken, Barry Bonds' first professional hit was as a visiting player for Prince William, I believe. It was a double off the left center field wall, as I'm told. And so the first time he got a hit as a pro ball player was right here in town.
And that's part of the beauty of it. You come to War Memorial Stadium and you don't know who you're going to be seeing. They may not be famous now, but if you pay attention, you might 20 years from now say, "I saw that guy."
Thank you for bringing that up. We're very, very proud of a lot of things, but not the least of which is we've been able to fuel some dreams. And we've had 11 major leaguers come off of our roster, and we're well into the 350 range with regard to the number of players signed or drafted off of our rosters. We've been blessed by some of the relationships we have to build our rosters with coaches across the country. But Ryan Zimmerman is Mr. National. So the latest chapter, you're right. You don't know exactly who you're looking at when you're seeing them, but you should pay attention because in a lot of cases you might be catching a star on the rise. And I just made a couple notes just to give people a feel. This year we have 5 countries represented on our roster. We've got players from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Canada, Australia, and the United States that cover 5 different levels of the game. There's 35 young men that come from a wide, as you know from professional baseball, a really wide spectrum of socioeconomic, everything. Their backgrounds are totally. And so we're coming together to try to build something special in Hampton.
So to this point, we've been talking primarily about the stadium, but let's talk a little bit about the Pilots and the league. It's a wooden bat league. Explain a little bit about what a summer wooden bat league is. These are not professional players.
No. I will say this real quick as a caveat before I even get going on that answer. If you go to the average low A, high A baseball game in minor leagues, and you go to one of our ball games, I don't think you can always tell the difference. Now, granted, there's nights that one or the other, is more appealing to watch. But It presents very much like a professional baseball game.
Sure.
Fireworks, mascots, cheap, affordable cold beverages, hot dogs, the whole shebang. And then the players, with the exception of a couple forgettable nights, play very clean, baseball.
These are players who aspire realistically to play professional baseball.
Yeah. So the niche. The spot for wooden bat summer baseball is Major League Baseball scouts want to be able to see two things in particular. One, how do they respond with a wooden bat in their hand, because they've grown up with aluminum. They've been evaluated up until this point with aluminum bats. And two, how do they hold up to the rigors of playing every day. And I think that's become a really important one. In Major League Baseball, they talk about the 5 tools to evaluate a player. There's several unwritten tools that still matter, and one of which is, can you show up for work every day and be healthy?
So these are college players.
Yes, sir.
And these are college players who are looking to work on their skills at a higher level and put themselves out there in front of scouts.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and so this is a little developmental piece as well. We're trying to give guys an opportunity to get better and help them get better. And we love that part of it. But it's also a showcase opportunity for them. We're hoping that they don't stay with us very long.
You've got scouts in the stands pretty much every game, I would guess.
Yes, sir.
We've got a couple of regular human beings, but we've also got, I don't know, $50,000 worth of equipment and TrackMan and several $1,000s worth of equipment and cameras. We have every Major League scout in our stadium every night.
Henry Morgan and Hank Morgan, 2 old heads in an old ballpark at War Memorial, have had to come along with the times, and he's right. That's a good thing.
I don't like it
to bring up, but the evaluation process and the instructional side is there's a lot of technology involved in it now, and been adding some of that over the years.
Talk a little bit. People talk about the sound of a wooden bat hitting a baseball right on the nose as opposed to a metal bat. But beyond just that sound, talk about how the wooden bat, as the college players, high school players, little league players, they come up for a lot of reasons using metal bats. Mm-hmm. Talk about the adjustment that the pitchers and the hitters have when the players are using the same wooden bats that they use in professional ball.
Yeah, the beginning of that is the sweet spot on a wooden bat is much smaller than the sweet spot on an aluminum bat. Typically, with an aluminum bat, it's much more forgiving. If you get the ball up in and off the barrel, up towards your hands, you still might be able to muscle that ball out over an infielder's head. Or if you get it off the end of the bat, it's not going to break. So with a wooden bat, in order to really strike it clean, hard, pure, exit velocity, all that stuff that we're looking at today, it's got to be on the sweet spot. So when it's off towards the end, the bat will sometimes fail, break. When it's in towards the hands, it will also fail. But it's rarely does it find a hole. You're out. So the numbers come down with wood bat. And then I guess maybe part of your question was, how do you exploit that or try to take advantage of it? So pitching in becomes a thing, and that's something that the pitchers at college level and the high school level need to be evaluated. Can they do it? Because they're fearful of pitching in against an aluminum bat. So it's a learned skill. So they have to come out and see, oh, wow, I didn't give up a home run. I threw it on the inside and the bat broke, and I got a shortstop out there that caught the ball. So it's mainly, like the Reader's Digest version is just the area, the surface area you have to be successful with is smaller.
It's much easier to get a hit or even a home run on sort of a mistake swing with a metal bat.
Yeah, or most of my hits as a player. Growing up back when we swung -5 aluminum, so 33 inches, 28 ounces, and it was metal and it had felt like a trampoline. Most of mine came off of the leather grip and just kind of dribbled out between the third baseman and the catcher.
Whereas if you
take them all.
if you do that with a wooden bat, you're holding a piece of wood.
Yeah.
You're holding.
Hurts too.
Yes, it does. And you're holding a sawed-off piece of wood in your hand.
Uh-huh.
Go after a vampire with it, maybe, but you're not going to get any more hits.
Right.
Last thing I want to ask you: what are we going to be doing this year to celebrate the 75th anniversary?
Well, we have remodeled. We are remodeling the blue-collar skyboxes that we have down below. They'll have new surfaces, new divisions, and they're real popular with our business community, and they do some entertaining networking out there. So we've upgraded that. We are going to upgrade and make better use of this new building that we referred to earlier. We'll be doing concessions down at that building. So hopefully that'll be a upgrade as well. And we're going to be bringing in some really good baseball players that are going to be seen all over the country because our TV broadcasts are going to be better. We're investing a little bit of money in the equipment. We still have Frank Edgar will be broadcasting the games, and Brian and the rest of his competent staff, including Wube. But they will they put on a pretty good show, and our league has been bought by Capital Broadcast Corporation out of the Durham, North Carolina area. And they are a first-class media company that we think will help guide us to bigger and better things in the broadcast business. As Hank alluded to, we have people from all over the country coming this summer, all over the world. And we will be reminding them that Hampton's a great place to come and visit, and especially catch a baseball game. Last year we had a player from the University of Florida. We were talking about it earlier, but he's going to be a top 5 round draft pick, I think.
5 pick.
First round, top 5 overall picks. Which we haven't had anything like that since Wayne Gomes was here, and at Old Dominion, and you'll never get to see him again for $5.
Yeah.
So.
Or you can go up and talk to him after the game.
Or you can, and he actually wants to talk to you because he's lonely too.
And that's important. Now we do try to create a bond, a connection between the people that come and the people that play. The old Branch Rickey, the old Brooklyn Dodgers, you live where you know where you work and you know your neighbors, and you stick your head out the window and say hello on the way to a ball game, and you try to take people's minds off of their problems for a couple hours and go have some fun. On the 75th anniversary thing, Mary Fugier's office is working with us as well to highlight some of the history we've been talking about in a physical way at the ballpark, which I think would be nice to have. Those stories have survived through people like us. There has yet to be anything physical in the ballpark that marks a lot of the storytelling, and so we're going to begin the process of doing that this year.
That's great.
Yeah. We've got a plaque there to commemorate Herbie Morwitz's contribution, and just last year the first general manager of the club. We have a plaque on this wall that Hank's referring to. We're also going to be wrapping some couple bathrooms with some, so that I don't have to paint them this year, but with some historical references that we hope people will find interesting.
It's going to be an exciting brand of baseball, and if the Mother Nature cooperates, it's the most affordable fun you can have, and the value is amazing. And we want our fan base to feel like they're a part of the team, not just there watching.
You probably know this, but it's also on a hot July night. It's the coolest place on the peninsula. And you know why? It's where all the fans are. But, thank you.
Don't quit your day job.
I can't afford to.
So tickets are on sale now. The schedule is up at peninsulapilots.com. Yep. When is opening day?
June the 1st is our home opener. The guys will get to town the Tuesday after Memorial Day. We'll work out twice, and then we'll play our first game on that Thursday.
Excellent.
We won't even know everyone's name then. But
Well, Henry and Hank Morgan, thank you so much for dropping in to talk. We are looking very forward to a summer of baseball at War Memorial Stadium, one of my favorite places in the area. And thank you very much for tuning in for another session of Round Robin.
thank you, Mike.
No problem.